Hey, welcome to Kids Church. My name is Matt Walker, and I'm one of the people who works at First Christian Church of Huntington Beach. You're going to have an awesome time with us this weekend as we do Kids Church together. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to play a game together. How was that?
It was okay.
Just okay?
Yeah.
Hey guys, so the other day I decided to buy Animal Crossing and I absolutely adore it. And then I found this really fun game and I think you guys would enjoy it too, so let's play. All right, so guess who's talking? The Bible or Animal Crossing? If you guys ever been on Animal Crossing, you know they say kind of some funny stuff and they talk like this. So we're gonna see if we can figure it out. You're gonna see the statement here on the screen. It'll be from the Message version of the Bible from Animal Crossing. Okay, are you ready for the first round? Hope so, because here it comes. Okay. Look at her, she's so cute. Stand up if you think the phrase is from the Bible. Stay seated if you think it's from Animal Crossing. I sense a great opportunity. I think Animal Crossing, because there's lots of opportunities in Animal Crossing. I think we can, that one is from Animal Crossing. I got it. High five to myself. High five to you guys also if you got it. If you didn't get it, that's okay. We have plenty of more time. Stand up if you think the phrase is from the Bible. Stay seated if you think it's from Animal Crossing. This is the one I told you was coming. That reminds me a lot of Jesus, because Jesus came on earth, right? So I think it's from the Bible. This one's from the Bible, from John 1:15. I'm just doing such a great job. Go me. All right. Oh, look at her cute bow. Okay, so Bible or Animal Crossing, let's see. Let me tell you why you are here. I would think Tom Nook would say that, the head guy, so I'm gonna guess Animal Crossing. Tom Nook, if you didn't know, is not in the Bible. He is Animal Crossing. That one's from the Bible. Oh, well, okay. I can't win them all, that's okay. Here's another one. Okay, let's see it. Stand up if you think the phrase is from the Bible. Seated if it's Animal Crossing. One step closer to maturity. Okay, I think this is Animal Crossing. I think you mature as a character, you mature with your island. That one was from Animal Crossing. Yes, killing it today. Last chance, okay. Let's see. Stand up if you think it's from the Bible. Seated if it's Animal Crossing. We'll be constructing a fishing rod. Hopefully it's a flimsy fishing rod, and that is from Animal Crossing, I can say with absolute certain fact. That one was from Animal Crossing. So I only missed one. I did a wonderful job. I hope you guys did too, and let's continue on with more of our show.
Thanks for joining us at Kids Church today. I am so glad you are here. All right. Ready to find something? You need to find 4 small toys. You're going to need them later in the lesson, okay? I'll see you in a few minutes. You have 2 minutes to go find those items.
All right, I think it's time for a little humor. And who doesn't love a good joke? I love a good joke. But you know what's better than a good joke? A bad joke. And you know what's better than a bad joke? A dad joke. So let's take it away to John for some bad dad jokes.
Hello, everyone. Miss Bonnie and Miss Kelly asked me to tell a couple of my most favorite jokes. So here they are. What do you call a dog that can do magic tricks? A labracadabrador. Why did the crab never share? Because he's shellfish. And last but not least, how do you make a Kleenex dance? You put a little boogie in it. That's all, folks.
Hey everyone, it's time for Kids Creations. This is the part of our show where we share some of the fun things that you guys have been doing at home. We love seeing the things that you guys are creating, but we want to see more. So if you have a fun creation you want to share with us, email them to kids@fccHB.com. Okay, so our first one that we have is Gideon. Gideon drew a trash truck that cleans the whole world. Gideon, I love the bright colors that you use, and I think that is an awesome idea. Next, we have Mikey, and Mikey colored a postcard that says lighthouse, and it even has a real lighthouse on it. Mikey even added a person in a sailboat. Great job, Mikey. Next, Miley drew a bunch of really cute dinosaurs, and she even named the dinosaurs. Miley, these are definitely the nicest looking dinosaurs I've ever seen. And last, we have Jacob. Jacob made a super speedy helicopter. He made it out of Legos, and I love making things out of Legos. Great job, Jacob. If you want to share your creations with us, send them to kids@fccHB.com. All right, guys, now we're gonna see what my friend Jeremiah is cooking in his kitchen.
How's it going? My name's Jeremiah, and I'm here to teach you guys something really, really cool. Now, Miss Bonnie, Miss Allie, and Miss Kelly came to me and asked me what my favorite TV show was. I told them my favorite show was a show called Chopped. How many of you guys have seen Chopped? What Chopped does is they get a random box of ingredients that they then have to turn into a delicious dish. So, Miss Bonnie, Miss Allie, and Miss Kelly filled this box full of random ingredients that I then have to take and make into a delicious meal. You guys want to see what's in the box? So do I. All right, let's take a look. What's inside the box? That was a loud noise, wasn't it? First, vanilla extract. Vanilla beans grow on trees. That is the extract, or vanilla juice. Half and half. All right. I don't know if this is sugar or if this is salt. Salt. So we have vanilla, half and half, salt, raspberries. This might be sugar. That's sugar. Sugar, salt, raspberry, vanilla bean extract, half and half, evaporated milk, and a bucket of ice. Some other things they put in here: Ziploc bags, a measuring cup, measuring spoons. So now I have to think of a dish that I can make with fresh raspberries. They smell delicious. Sugar. Salt. Evaporated milk. What evaporated milk is it's just milk. They evaporate, so it's not like, and it has a shelf life. Half and half, which is half cream, half milk, for those of you that are wondering, and vanilla extract. I have no tools, no blenders, no oven, no stove. I know what we are gonna make. How many of you like ice cream? I love ice cream. Did you know that with these simple ingredients, half and half, evaporated milk, raspberries, sugar, salt, vanilla, and a bucket of old ice, that we can create ice cream in a bag? All right, now you can use any fruit you want, but since they gave me raspberries, we will use raspberries. First thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these look like quart-sized bags. We're gonna take these 2 quart-sized bags. We're gonna place one bag inside the other bag, like so. Then, we're gonna take a couple of these fresh raspberries. I don't wanna use them all. I wanna pick some of the best ones. Let's do 4 raspberries. We're gonna make a raspberry ice cream, since that is what they gave us. Next, we want about 1 cup of half and half. Now, we know that this is 1 pint. 1 pint has how many ounces? Or, for those of you who don't want to do math, because we don't have to, this is they gave me a 1/4 cup. So what that's gonna do is we're just gonna pour that in. Now, if this is a 1/4 cup, there's 4 quarters in a dollar, which means there's 4 quarters in a cup. So 1/4, 2 quarters, 50 cents. So we still need 50 more cents in our dollar, right? Or we need 2 more quarters in our cup. Now this is a cool recipe because you don't have to turn on an oven, you don't have to turn on a stove. You can do this while you're watching TV. So that, my friends, is 4, or about half of that. We have our raspberries in there. We have our half and half in there. Next, the evaporated milk. Now evaporated milk is gonna be more of like a tan color. For this recipe, we're gonna use 2 tablespoons. Tablespoon, TBS. Don't get confused with teaspoon, which is TSP. And tablespoon, want the tablespoon, want the biggest one, right? So 2 of those bad boys in there. If you make a mess, who cares? All right, so we have our evaporated milk, our raspberries, we have our half and half. We need a couple more ingredients. Let's make it a little sweet. Sugar. We're gonna use a 1/4 cup of sugar. Use that same 1/4 cup. We're gonna fill that all the way up. Make sure it's the sugar, not the salt, because that would be gross. 1/4 cup of sugar, right on in there. Now to give it a little of that vanilla ice cream flavor, we're gonna use some of this vanilla extract. And we are gonna use the teaspoon, the TSP, 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract in there. Now you're gonna ask Jeremiah, what are we gonna do with the salt? That is coming right up. So now, how is all these ingredients gonna turn into ice cream? Pretty simple, I'm gonna show you guys. So we're gonna squeeze as much air out of that as we can. Seal that up. The reason I'm gonna put these in 2 bags is because we're gonna be shaking it around with all that ice. We don't want this bag to explode in there. I do not have it. So we have our raspberries in there. Now you're just gonna give it a nice squeeze because we wanna break up all those raspberries into pieces so we have a nice raspberry ice cream. Looks good so far. Then what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this bigger bag they gave us. We're gonna take some of this ice. Now, this ice, you don't have to worry about washing your hands because it's not gonna touch our ice cream at all. So we're gonna do 3 big handfuls, maybe for you, 4. You're then gonna put your ice cream in there. You're then gonna add more ice on top of it. Let's just put it all. Doesn't matter. I'm using crushed ice in here because that's what they gave me, but crushed ice is good because it's going to allow it to move more than big old ice cubes. Now, fun fact, salt will keep ice freezing cold and help it from stop melting. It's going to keep it at that certain temperature. So we're going to pour half that jar in that ice. You can already see that ice starting to firm up. Then we got to take this, squeeze out as much air as we can. And guess what we do next? We got to shake it. Now this is going to take me about 5 minutes. So I'm going to fast forward because otherwise you're going to sit here watching me shake for 5 minutes. So instead, I'm going to play some cool music and you're going to watch me shake. This is the perfect time if you had your brother or your sister or your mom or your dad or your uncle or your cousin or your grandma or your grandpa to help you shake it because it gets tiring, but keep shaking it. So now I've been shaking for 5 minutes. My hands are cold, my arm's gonna fall off, but something special has happened inside of this bag. We have created a delicious, soft served ice cream. Now, I can tell you it's good, but I'd rather have two special friends come in and give their. So, welcome Emma and June. They are gonna come try this soft served ice cream and tell me how it tastes.
It's actually really, really good.
What? It's good?
Mm-hmm.
Let me check.
It was actually, it's, you know how the flavor is?
That is pretty good ice cream.
That's raspberry ice cream. Yummy.
So you have raspberry homemade ice cream
So good.
at home in 5 minutes with ingredients your mom and dad probably have in their pantry.
You can use whatever flavor, you can use
Don't listen to
whatever-
her. Listen to me. Make the raspberry. It's delicious.
You can also make apple if you really want.
We'll see you next time. Dang, that's good.
I am so excited. This month, our theme is I Spy. Our song this month is called I Spy. Sometimes it's difficult when you have a bad day to see where Jesus is. This song reminds us that He is all around us. Are you ready to celebrate? I know I am. Here we go. love singing and dancing. Now, this next song, I've Got a Friend, is a new one. You are going to so enjoy it. I love that it has fun new motions and dance movements that you're going to enjoy. This song reminds us that the creator of the universe made us and loves us. Everything about us. So are you ready? Get up on your feet. Here we go. Let's celebrate.
Yeah. My silly faces, my goofy grin, my funny dances, my messy hair, my silly faces, my goofy grin, my funny dances. I've got a friend in Jesus, he loves everything about me. I've got a friend in Jesus, he loves everything about me. When I get scared, you make me braver. You are my friend forever. When I get scared, you make me braver. You are my friend forever. Oh, I've got a friend in Jesus, he loves everything about me. I've got a friend in Jesus, he loves everything about me. Yeah. Alright, hey, who knows where your head is? What about your shoulders? Can you point to your knees and your toes? Awesome, let's do it together. My head and shoulders, knees and toes, he loves everything about me. My eyes and ears and mouth and nose, he loves everything about me. My head and shoulders, knees and toes, he loves everything about me. My eyes and ears and mouth and nose, he loves everything about me. Everybody sing! I've got a friend in Jesus, he loves everything about me. I've got a friend in Jesus, he loves everything about me. Oh, I've got a friend in Jesus, he loves everything about me. Loves me. I've got a friend in Jesus, he loves everything about me. Yeah.
Check this out. Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about my favorite subject, and that is about me. Me, myself, and moi. I love talking about this story. So I'm going to talk about how I came to follow Jesus. So when I was little, I used to go to church, but I went to church during preschool. I would go on Christmas, I would go on Easter, and my family believed in Jesus, so I thought, well, good enough for me. They believe, that means I believe, right? That's not really how life works, I've come to find out. So I kind of would go, I would kind of not want to go. I didn't really understand anything either when I would show up. It was all over my head. I felt like people were talking a different language. I got bored. I once slept through adult service the entire time, and then the pastor pointed out to me and was like, hey, are you sleeping? Which was super embarrassing. Didn't want to go back after that. And then later on in life, I started to feel really lonely. I had this feeling that I had something missing in my life, and I would see all these other people who followed Jesus, and I saw what I wanted, which was this community, this feeling of belonging, and it was really cool to see, and I wanted something like that. So I was 14 years old, I was in high school, and I had just finished up PE. I walked over to one of my friends who I knew went to church, and I asked her, what church do you go to? She ended up saying First Christian Church. And so I told my parents, I said, hey, I want to check out this new church. I want to go. I want to see what it's all about. I went and I absolutely loved it. I had a great time, and I finally felt like I could belong somewhere. And so my life was completely perfect after that. Nothing needed to change. I was a totally transformed person. Just kidding. It actually took me a really long time to get to the point where I'm at today. I had to study a lot. I had to learn a lot. I had to learn how to pray. I started coming to church when I was 14, but when I turned 17, that's when I finally could understand what it meant to be a follower of Jesus. I started praying more. I started volunteering in different ministry areas, and I got to see what it was like to interact with people who felt the same way as me. I got to see them show and tell their life and their story, and they were great models for me. Sometimes in our lives, we have those moments. We have these people in our lives who make this big impact. And I'm a different person than I was before when I started following Jesus. I don't feel as lonely as I did when I first started trying to follow Jesus. And it's been super wonderful. I've made the most amazing friends, and I get to be here today because of that decision I made. And so later, we're going to be talking about these 4 guys who discovered Jesus, and they hung out with Jesus, and they wrote about him so people like me and people like you can follow him for the rest of our lives. I can't wait to hear about it. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
Hey everyone, it's me, Miss Kelly, and Ollie the Owl. If you know me, then you know my favorite color is green. In fact, I'm pretty obsessed. But let me tell you something else. I love to keep things simple. So today, I'm going to tell you the simplest form of the Bible story, and then Miss Bonnie and Miss Allie are going to come on and dig a lot deeper and really get into it. So today's Bible story began a long time ago with a part that I bet you're pretty familiar with. It's when an angel came to a woman named Mary, and he told her, "You're going to have a..." That's right, Ollie, a baby boy. "And you're going to name him Jesus, and he's going to be God's son." Jesus is special because he is God's son. So we know that Mary and her husband had to travel really, really far. They had to walk all the way to that city of, Bethlehem. So they walked all the way to the city of Bethlehem. And remember, when they got there, there was nowhere for them to stay. So they stayed in a stable. And that night, Jesus was born. And when he was born, Mary wrapped him in a cloth and laid him into a manger. But you know, Jesus didn't stay a baby. We know that Jesus grew up and he did amazing things. In fact, we've talked about a lot of these incredible stories. Jesus did so many amazing things that only he could do. Like when Jesus was in a boat with his friends and there was a huge storm, they were so scared. And Jesus made the thunderstorm stop. We also know Jesus would help heal people. He would help sick people get better. One time, he even fed over 5,000 people with just a little bit of food. Do you remember what kind of food it was? That's right, Ollie. 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread to feed 5,000 people. Jesus did so many amazing things. And people who saw him do these things wrote them down. Now we can read them in the Bible. So I have a question for you, Ollie. Who can believe in Jesus? That's right. I can believe in Jesus. And so can you.
Hi, I'm Miss Bonnie.
And I'm Miss Allie. And we miss you guys.
We so miss you guys. We wish you were here.
So something that I've been doing recently, and it's been really wonderful for my own mental health, is looking up fun holidays. So there's, national holidays like Christmas and Easter and Martin Luther King Jr. Day and things like that. But there's also these fun small holidays, things like Talk Like a Pirate Day and this week's Applesauce Cake Day.
I am really excited about this one. Miss Allie sent me a message and said, "Hey, guess what? It's Applesauce Cake Day this week." And I said, "I'll make an applesauce cake." So I made applesauce cake, Miss Allie.
Yes.
You want to try it?
This is why I'm celebrating these, because I want something to look forward to, and I knew if I forwarded this to Bonnie, she would make it for me.
And I did. I'm hoping it's good.
It smells so good, my friends.
Ooh, that's actually pretty good.
So I heard you can use applesauce and for the other ingredients. So what ingredients do you substitute?
The applesauce in here is substituting for the oil, for the egg. Oh my gosh, this is really good. And then there's applesauce in it.
I just love this. I'm just gonna keep going. Man.
The powdered sugar on top.
Oh my god, I love the powdered sugar.
I know, I'm loving it. It's so much good.
Oh my god.
I'm wondering if I didn't put enough cinnamon in it. Do you think?
I think more cinnamon is never a bad thing.
Yeah, I think I should have added a little bit more
I
cinnamon.
love cake. Guys,
Oh my
I
God.
wish you could be eating this too because it's
Ladies,
know,
you're supposed
I
to be
wish-
doing a lesson here. Come on, let's focus. Focus in, all right? Come on.
okay.
Wow. Okay.
Back to business. So I loved Miss Kelly's lesson with Mr. Ollie the owl. Sorry, I still have cake in my mouth.
I know, I have cake too.
So,
I loved it because it was all about the Bible.
yes.
And we have our Bibles here today. And this, Miss Allie and I use, we love this Bible. This is our favorite Bible because it's called a study Bible. Miss Allie, what does it mean that it's a study Bible?
So study Bibles are really cool because they give you information about things. So they'll have little tidbits like, did you know? And they'll give you some background information. If you guys didn't know, the Bible wasn't really written for us in mind. It was written for the people at that time so they can understand, and a lot of them are just letters that people wrote. So sometimes we don't fully understand it, so study Bibles help make this information a lot more easier to understand. One time someone wrote in my question box, I tried to read the Bible but I get confused. Help! And this right here is something that can really help you as a study Bible, so I definitely recommend it.
Well, I'm excited to jump in today, but before we do, I thought it would be fun if we unbox something every week.
You guys ever watch unboxing videos? I love them.
I love unboxing videos. So, believe it or not, Miss Bonnie orders a lot of stuff from Amazon. Just last Friday, we got 14 packages.
14.
14. We order a lot of stuff. Everything we order through Amazon. And the funny thing is, we get the package and we're like, oh, what's in it? Because we've forgotten what we ordered. So I ordered something.
Christmas every day.
It is kind of like Christmas every day. So I ordered something I thought would be fun that would help us in our lesson today.
Okay, let's
Okay,
see
you ready?
it.
Stuffing. Are you guys ready? Bendable Jesus.
What?
Yes,
Bendable
this is
Jesus.
the best thing. I thought this was wonderful. Watch. This is going to
Well,
be
now it's no longer a collector's item.
No.
It's funny.
Oh,
ripping
you know
it
what?
apart.
I didn't even think of it being a collector's item. I guess it could have been.
Gonna,
But
like,
I want to see
triple in
how
value.
bendable he is. Okay, wait. It's coming.
She's opening it.
Oh, is it hard to... There we go. Oh, my word. This is the best.
Look at Jesus.
It's so good. Look, he's
flexible.
like, and I part the waters, and I walk on the waters. Oh, my word. This is
I
hilarious.
love it. So, you know, friends, we asked you guys
I'm
to
gonna
grab
leave
some
Jesus right
toys today.
Yes.
And we're going to actually use those toys to help talk about what we're going to be talking about today. Because we're talking about 4 different people. So we're
Yes.
talking about who wrote about Jesus' life. And so we got some fun little characters. Who do you have today? Miss
I
Bonnie?
have Yoshi, and I have Red Ninja.
And then I have Luigi and I have a Transformer. So we are going to use our 4 toys to help us remember who we're talking about. Because sometimes when there's a lot of names and a lot of different characters that I'm talking about, I get really lost.
It does get confusing. So we're going to start out with Matthew, and I am going to make Yoshi Matthew. Now, we said that this is a study Bible, and the great thing about this Bible is at the beginning of each of these books and or letters, it tells you a little about the person. So we're going to look up and tell you who Matthew was.
Yeah.
So the Bible is broken up into 2 parts.
Mhm.
The front part is the Old Testament, and the back part is the New Testament. So I'm going to go to the back part of my Bible, and I'm going to find Matthew. And the cool thing is at the beginning of these, and I don't know how well you guys can see, but it says who, why, whom, and what. And it tells us what they wrote the book for. So are you ready for Matthew?
Yeah, and I just want to give a little information. The people that we're going to be talking about wrote these books called the Gospels, and that's what we're going to be reading today. Gospel just means good news, and these are good news. These are people who were Jesus's friends and people who learned so much about Jesus, and they wrote the stuff that they knew about Jesus. So we're going to talk about his 4 friends and what they written.
Awesome. So let's start with Matthew, shall we? Okay. So Matthew, let's see what he says. It says, who wrote this? Matthew wrote this, and he was one of Jesus's 12 disciples. That's pretty cool. I like that. Why did he write this? He wrote this to show that Jesus was the Messiah, and what the Messiah means is the Savior. He was someone to come to save them. And that plays into the good news that you talked about. So that goes there. For whom was it written? Matthew wrote this to Jewish people. So remember, it's called a book, but a lot of it is letters that they wrote. What happens in the book? I like this. This book tells the birth, the life, the teaching, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus. So I love that.
It's so perfect.
Isn't that great?
That is our friend
Matthew.
Hey, Matthew. So make
Nice
sure
to meet you, Matthew.
you have your Matthew character. So whenever you look at that toy, remember that's Matthew now.
Yoshi Matthew.
Yoshi Matthew. All right, now we're going to take our Transformer and we are going to go to the book of Mark. So the book of Mark. So I'm going to put my Transformer on here. This is Mark now, not Transformer. Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Mark. All right, so let's learn about Mark. So who wrote the book of Mark? A young man named John Mark. His name wasn't even Mark, it was John Mark.
Interesting.
Wrote down stories Peter told about Jesus. So Mark didn't actually follow Jesus, like one of his close friends, but he hung out with someone who was super duper close friends with Jesus.
Cool.
Why was this book written? Mark shows people who Jesus is by telling them what Jesus did. So he writes about all of the cool things that Jesus did. Bonnie mentioned some of them, like walking on water, feeding people. It's great. For whom was this book written? Mark wrote this book for Gentiles, people who were not Jews. So there was either Jewish people who had Jewish descendants, or there were Gentiles, people who were not Jewish. And so some people believed that Gentiles weren't able to follow Jesus, but Mark wrote this down so Gentiles would also come to know who Jesus is.
Which you and I are considered Gentiles.
We are.
That's awesome.
And what's really
We're
cool
included.
is he wanted to make sure everyone understood that. So he used language that makes sense to them and to make sure that they understand it. Each one of these was written for someone different in mind. And so everyone wanted to make sure that they wrote something. They all wrote kind of the same stuff, the same miracles and the same
I
things.
love that. But it was different eyewitnesses, so it was from just a wee bit different perspective, which makes it cool.
I love it. So finally, what happens in this book? Jesus shows his power by performing miracles that help people, and he teaches his disciples. So this is Mark. Mark is going to take his bow.
What's up, Mark? Glad you're here.
Love having you.
All right, the next person we're going to talk about is Luke, and Luke is the ninja. Hello, Luke.
Hello,
He's going to
ninja.
do a kick. Now, I love Luke because it says Luke was a physician who often traveled with Paul and wrote this book. So Luke didn't actually see everything happen. He traveled with Paul, which in a few weeks we're going to talk about Paul, so I won't go into it now. But the thing I love about Luke is at the very beginning, this is what it says. It says, I myself, and this is Luke talking. He says, I myself have carefully investigated everything from the beginning. I too decided to write an orderly account for you. So he took and he went and he talked to people, he interviewed people, and then he wrote it all down. Now, he was a physician, so he's a very smart man.
I actually read once, I was reading an article because I was trying to learn more about Luke, is that his account of who Jesus was is actually known as like a great history lesson because he uses so much information that helps people know that what he said was true.
That's neat. I like that. Why was this book written? Luke tells what many people who knew Jesus remembered his life and his teaching. For whom was this book written? Luke wrote it for people who wanted to know the kind of person Jesus was. I like that because I'm one of the people who want to know what kind of person Jesus was. So this was written for me. So that's fun. What happened in this book? Jesus meets, teaches, helps many different kinds of people. So Luke opens it up and he says, this book is for anyone who wants to know Jesus, and it's all down there written. So great.
So perfect. So
Luke,
thank you for your service, Luke.
we appreciate you.
And finally, we have John. John is going to be now Luigi, so hold up your John statue, doll, toy, whatever you have. What up? So we'll have that right there. So John is really cool. Before I get started, John is a really fun book to start. I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you, Bonnie. Sometimes when I read the Bible, when I first started following Jesus, I thought I had to start in the very beginning.
Yes.
Any book, you have to start from the beginning so you get background information and you can follow through and it all makes sense. The Bible's a little different. Yeah, there's one cohesive story about how God loved us so much that he sent Jesus to die for us and that he came back and that we get to live forever because of Jesus in heaven. But each book kind of is a little choppy if you read them in order.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff that happens. It gets a little confusing. And so what was recommended to me a while ago was to start in the book of John. And I'll tell you why in a moment when we read through it. So who wrote this book? John, the disciple of Jesus, wrote this book. What's really funny is sometimes in John, he'll mention that he is the disciple that Jesus loved the most. You know, if I was writing something like that, I would also probably put that. I'd be like, yeah, Jesus loved me the most. The disciple that Jesus loved the most, aka me.
I think I would too.
So, little full of himself, but that's okay. So why was this book written? The Gospel of John shows that Jesus is the Son of God and helps people believe in him. That's why we want to read this verse, because it all points to that Jesus is the Son of God, and that's the reason why we're here today. For whom was this book written? John was written for everyone who wants to understand who Jesus really is. We can all read this, which is super cool. What happens in this book? John reports miracles and teachings that show that Jesus is the Son of God.
That's so awesome. You mentioned earlier that the 4 books were called the Gospels, the Good News. Now, in the Old Testament, there are prophets, people who heard from God and told others that Jesus was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have just read that there are 4 different accounts of Jesus' life and the good news.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so actually my friend Saul Paul wrote something in Romans.
One of your favorite guys.
One of my
Saul
favorite
Paul.
guys. And so he talks about the prophets, the people who Jesus would, or God would talk to, and then they would talk to other people. And so this is what he said about the Gospels. Sorry, I'm finding it one moment. Sometimes I'm a little slow at finding things. So Romans chapter 1, verses 2 through 3, it says, the gospel he promised, God promised, beforehand through his prophets in the Holy Scriptures, also known as the Old Testament, regarding his Son, who as his earthly life was a descendant of David. So that right there just says that the Gospels were promised by God by all these people. So many people were saying this good news is going to happen, this good news is going to happen. And then it happened. Jesus came and people wrote about it, so we ourselves can still read about it. I don't think they expected that though.
No, because what's funny is these would have been like getting an email from someone, and you get that email, and then thousands of years later, someone else is reading that email.
Yeah, I don't think anything I wrote would ever be that impactful or profound, but here we are reading something that they didn't expect for us to be reading, to be teaching about. Some people even spend their entire lives studying just one of these books in the Bible. Isn't that crazy?
You know, now I can answer Ollie's question, because he said, who can believe in Jesus? With these eyewitnesses, I can say I can believe in Jesus.
And what's really cool is the more that we can read this, it's just like a show and tell. The disciples showed who they were and what it means to be a Jesus follower, and they told people by writing this stuff down. And we can continue on with that. We can show people what it means to follow Jesus, and we can tell people what it means to follow Jesus, who he is, and the great things he did. And we can point them to the Gospels.
Which is, like you said, a great place to start reading in John. Now, there's a verse I want to read, and it's in Matthew 28:18. And I want to read this because I think it helps us. So it says, Matthew 28:19. Therefore, now this is what Jesus told his disciples.
Yeah.
And we are his disciples if we choose to follow
We are
him.
his followers.
So
yeah.
this is something he's telling us to do. So he says, therefore, go and make disciples of all nations. All authority in heaven has been given to you. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations. So we are to go and tell people about Jesus.
Yeah.
Just like these guys did.
Yeah, and it's as easy as a show and tell. I told a show and tell about how I started following Jesus, and it was all because I watched people. I saw what people had, and I wanted more of it. And we can be that for other people.
Yes, we can.
So my question to you guys is, how can you show and tell your relationship with Jesus? Maybe you don't have a relationship with him yet. That's totally fine. Where's the first place I can start? Reading this guy right here. Reading the book of John, reading the book of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and then continuing on and on. That's a great place to start.
I think that's a wonderful place to start. So that's your challenge this week, my friends. We'll talk about another challenge later.
Yeah.
But the thing is every day we have to choose to follow him.
Yeah.
It's not a one and done thing. Okay.
And we have to continue to choose it, and it gets easier the more we do it. And like I said, it's easy to read this, and we get to do it all the time. I just love that we have this with us all the time.
I do too. Well, Miss Allie, I think it's time for us to say goodbye. So should we pray?
Let's pray us out. Would you pray us out?
I would love to.
Perfect.
Dear God, thank you for the Bible. Thank you for these eyewitnesses accounts that we can learn about you, that we can become closer to you, that we can tell the world that you are amazing and that you love us. Thank you so much for your word. Thank you for these eyewitnesses. We love you and we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Friends, thank you so much for joining.
We get a cake back. Oh, there it is.
Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you guys next week, okay?
Bye.
Bye, guys. So good.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I don't think I'm ever going to cook without just using all applesauce.
I know.
I
This
love
is
it.
basically a fruit now.
Oh my gosh,
This isn't even cake. I could eat it for breakfast. I could eat it for lunch.
Thanks for joining us for Kids Church today. We have learned some great stuff. But it does no good if we don't put it into practice. It's like learning how to ride a bike without ever actually riding a bike. You can know how to put on the helmet, pedal, steer, and brake, but until you actually get on the bike, you really never truly know how it feels. So, I have a big challenge. It's time for you to take off the training wheels and be intentional about prayer. As many of you know, prayer is simply talking to God. He wants to hear your thoughts, your praise, your frustration, and anything else you want to tell him. Lots of us are used to praying before we go to bed or before we eat, but prayer's not limited to one time. You can pray when you wake up, you can pray when you brush your teeth, you can pray when you ride your bike, while you're eating, or any other time. God wants to hear what you're thinking. Jesus is never off limits. He will never judge you on what you say. So this week, add at least one more time into your day of praying. Jesus wants to hear from you. He cares deeply for you. That's our challenge this week. I hope you do it with me. I would love to hear how your challenge goes. Feel free to reach out to me at kids@fcchb.com. Thanks for joining us today. I'll see you guys next week.